The breaking at present, as you see, we all were anticipating some talks on the India-US trade deal. And Kavita, as you see, the US chief negotiator is planning to come to India tonight.
Absolutely.
So expected that something might come up in the tariff jitters right now, and uncertainties will some sort of lessen now.
Exactly. So the first tranche of conversation was set to begin this week, and it's a very important week from not only the trade deal angle, but also the US Fed rate decision also. But then we really have to see that the timeline, which is of November, Mansi. So far, it's been called November, but then the first tranche of conversation we'll get to know as to what will be the process. Potential the US chief negotiators visit really means a lot. We'll also have to see that in what way the trade deal will be going ahead. We're also joined by Sumita Karir, our colleague who's got all the details with us. Sumita, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. I can hear you. So essentially, from the Department of Commerce have just clarified, and they have suggested that India and the United States for a very long period of time have been engaged on matters related to trade, ministerial, and at diplomatic levels as well. And now we're given to understand that United States chief negotiator, along with his team, is going to be coming to India tonight. And of course, these US-India talks are to be held starting tomorrow. These will be a day. Talks only for a day. Remember, this is not the next round of talks. These are essentially just a precursor to the sixth round of talks that are to happen between the United States and India. We don't have much clarity on where these sixth round of talks are going to happen, but as of now, officials from the United States are going to arrive to India tonight. And the next round of talks, after they come in here and after they have a day-long schedule of meetings with the Indian side, the next round of talks will be decided after that. Overall, we're given to understand that there is positive momentum being witnessed. India and the United States have been engaged on a weekly basis virtually.
Sumita, like you said, that the place where the trade talks might happen are not clear at present. But then what other details are we getting at present? The US team will be here tonight. But what from the Indian officials, and what exactly is in the agenda, as you can see?
Well, that's what essentially I just spoke about, the fact that India and the United States have been engaged on several levels, diplomatic levels, ministerial levels, trade levels. And the agenda, remember, that gets decided once the trade team is here. This is to essentially iron out any kind of differences that may have persisted earlier on, given the fact that India has maintained its solid stance on no red lines getting crossed as far as agri, dairy, and GM crops, these sensitive sectors are concerned. So India is going to be sort of, communicating its side, its sensitivities to the United States side, and perhaps we'll listen to them on what they have to offer. And perhaps after that, the next round of talks and where they will happen, that gets decided. But as of now, this is a big update that's coming in as far as India and the United States talks are concerned. A team from the United States chief negotiator, is going to be arriving in India tonight, and talks will be held tomorrow. These will be he will be here for 24 hours. And remember, these are very, very crucial talks, given the fact that a thaw in ties between United States and India has been achieved upon, has been arrived at after Donald Trump, at least the past few of his tweets, if you see, they have signaled a thaw in ties. And of course, he's spoken about how he's a great friend of the Prime Minister, how he's a great admirer of the Prime Minister. However, there are certain issues that pertain, but overall, India-US trade ties, they remain intact. And that was essentially also appreciated by the Indian Prime Minister as well in his tweets. So the Indian Prime Minister has tweeted twice about India-US ties and how they are on a strong footing. And he deeply appreciates how Donald Trump has been viewing ties between the two sides. So all eyes now are on tomorrow's trade talks. And what really comes out of these talks, what are the two sides essentially arriving at, given the fact that both the sides are looking at closing the first tranche of the bilateral trade agreement by fall this year, which is essentially by October or November. Given the timelines that both the sides have decided, where will the next round of talks happen? How soon? Will there be a mini deal, or will they be looking at closing the first tranche of the bilateral trade agreement by fall? All of those remain to be seen.
Sumita, thank you for all of those details, and we'll keep waiting for the developmental updates on the same. But a big positive momentum at present, as you can see, and of course on the Trump's administration's actions and India. We also have Vikram Mishra with us. Let's talk to him and try and understand. A positive news development, Vikram, as we see the negotiating team from US is planning to come to India and talk on India-US trade negotiations. Now, tariff jitters were many, but we see some sort of clarity maybe in the coming days which might come in. What's your take on the same?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, for one, I'm Vivek Mishra, so sorry for that, as the name got. But the second is, it's been a trend that has been in the pipeline for the past few days. If you've seen, the trio from Washington, D.C., Lutnick, Scott Bessent, and Navarro, they have dialed down some, the narrative, the invectives that were coming from Washington. So clearly there was a signal. But I think more than that, the two sides always remain engaged. I mean, at the level of the American, the AMS division in the South Bloc in the Ministry of External Affairs was interacting with the State Department. So I'm not surprised if this goes forward. But clearly, this has also been, and there's also been some, I think, initial agreement on certain sectors that I think India can expect leniency on from the United States in terms of where the red lines are drawn, particularly in the agri sector. But I think these will be issues that will be discussed as the team visits here. But this is a great development, which sort of prevents the relationship from spiraling down.
Vivek, hi, this is Kavita this side. I really want to understand, the softness in the US stance that we are looking at now. And you also said that, there'll be fewer blurry lines to which, US was really arm twisting India. Having said that, I really want to understand this thing and elaborate. Now, the softer stance means what in terms for trade deals and especially for India's benefit and India's favor?
So I think in terms of sectoral new lines in certain sectors, in certain agriculture sectors, you could see the United States backing off and saying, for example, on the GM crops, they would, I personally, and I could be wrong, but I expect America to sort of go back off because we are not opening the entire market of, for instance, soybean to GM crops, right? So I think areas like that. On certain areas, for example, the auto component exports to the U.S., which is close to, more than 11 billion in 2024-25. Those, I think India will absorb some certain tariff cuts. And I think that is an area where also in the area of gems and jewelries, I think, so most of these high value exports, I expect India to absorb some tariffs and sort of draw red lines in smaller sectors, in MSMEs, and particularly potential tariffs from the U.S. In areas which could impact our small farmers and MSMEs. So I think broadly that's the roadmap for India's negotiations as I see it.
Absolutely. Vivek, thank you so much for joining with us on short notice, and we beg your pardon for the name error. That was Vivek Mishra, Deputy Director, Strategic Studies Program and Fellow, America's Observer Research Foundation, giving us view on the absolute development which is right now running as breaking on the sources. We might see some takeaways coming from the India-US trade negotiation front. We'll keep an eye on that.